Just how careless is Tony Stark with his massive fortune? He wrecked $1 billion coastal estate just to synthesize a new element to keep himself alive. Ever since his public confession that he is Iron Man, the authorities have relentlessly tried to seize his tech. They insisted Tony surrender his suits and all associated research data. Their justification was public safety, but Tony completely rejected the idea. I am Iron Man. The suit and I are one. I have successfully privatized world peace. But nobody realized the world's savior was actively perishing. The palladium core in his chest was steadily intoxicating his bloodstream. With every use of the suit, the toxicity spiked. If he failed to discover a replacement power source, the very device preserving his life would become his executioner. Understanding his time was running out, Tony chose to pass his corporate empire over to Pepper. He quit fighting his grim reality and opted to live his final days to the fullest. He whisked Pepper away to a Grand Prix, but privately suited up in racing gear to drive the course himself. Mid-race, Ivan unexpectedly stepped onto the asphalt. He threw open his jacket to expose a miniaturized reactor glowing on his chest. An instant later, two crackling energy whips lashed out. A Formula car was immediately cleaved in two. Stripped of his armor, Tony was completely vulnerable to Ivan. He was forced to merely evade the lethal strikes. At the last possible second, Happy rammed his vehicle directly into Ivan, buying Tony a brief reprieve. Pepper also rushed to the scene carrying the Iron Man briefcase. Once suited up, Tony instantly went on the offensive. He punted a wrecked car and unleashed a barrage of repulsor blasts, but Ivan was ready for him. He deflected the strikes with his electrified whips and even ensnared Tony's suit, locking him in place. Despite the escalating damage to his armor, Tony pushed forward. He powered through the massive voltage and tackled Ivan head-on. He then ripped the arc reactor right out of Ivan's harness, but this clash exposed a horrifying reality to Tony. Someone else had successfully replicated the Iron Man core tech. At the exact same time, the palladium toxicity in Tony's blood had maxed out. His demise was looming closer by the second. Wanting to go out with no regrets, Tony hosted an erratic, wild party. He crashed the event fully armored and began demonstrating bizarre suit capabilities. He blasted repulsor beams into the air, transforming the gathering into a lethal fireworks display. But Rhodey had seen enough. Unaware of Tony's fatal poisoning, he simply believed his friend had gone completely off the rails. Consequently, Rhodey donned the Mark II suit, determined to shut Tony down. Their brawl spilled from the lounge right up to the roof. The lavish estate was decimated in the crossfire. Ultimately, they both fired their repulsors directly at one another. The resulting shockwave finally ended the chaos. Post-fight, Rhodey turned his back on Tony and flew off with the Mark II. His goal was to deliver it to the armed forces to be weaponized. Tony totally surrendered to his despair. Day after day, he lounged atop a massive donut sign in full armor, munching on junk food as if simply awaiting the end. Then, SHIELD Commander Nick Fury arrived on the scene. He was already aware of Tony's toxic blood, having deployed Natasha undercover to monitor him. Following this, Natasha administered a proprietary serum to Tony, putting a temporary pause on the palladium's destruction. Fury informed Tony that his journey wasn't over just yet. Well, I'm here to tell you haven't tried them all. Following that exchange, they relocated to Tony's residence. Fury explained to Tony that his existing arc reactor was an unfinished design. Tony was stunned by the revelation, as it appeared Fury understood this tech better than its own creator. As a matter of fact, I did. He was one of the founding members of SHIELD before Tony could interrogate him further. Fury dropped Howard's vintage belongings onto the table. He revealed to Tony that concealed within them was the blueprint for